Is there an organic growth rate for businesses? Like in nature, there's an organic growth rate or a maximum organic growth rate. Like there's certain size that animals can get, blue whales, dinosaurs. There's a certain size mountains can get, oceans, at least on Earth, but even in our known universe, there seems to be certain things can't just grow indefinitely, or there are certain limits to growth. And the question is, how do we look at this from our perspective as investors in technology, particularly in AI? It seems that AI has this quality to defy this, not law, but this dynamic. It seems that we humans, and this is borrowing from the beginning of Infinity, one of the books of our principle stack, the humans have the ability to define the big. So the small can define the big. We're not just pawns in a big universal chess game. We are the center of this universe because we have the ability for explanatory knowledge, and that gives us the ability to shape nature and, in principle, also to decide how fast we want to grow. I think AI is one of the first legs of this, but it's not the only one. I mean, it started with, at least with the scientific revolution, and then with things like railways and ports and dams and electricity and all kinds of things that today we just consider normal. But if you think about it, the kind of growth that we had in the last 250 years is already, if you spoke with somebody 1,000 years ago and you told them what we're going through, they'd be like, you're crazy. It's not going to happen. So the question, the idea is simply stated, can we defy certain limits of organic growth? Certainly, if you listen to people like Elon Musk and Jensen Huang, you might think, yeah, I mean, these guys definitely believe it, because let's say, take an example of Starship. Starship has the ambition to bring down launch costs to like $50 per kilogram. Right now, Falcon 9 is about $6,000 per kilogram. It used to be, I think, 50,000. So they went down 10x, and they want to go down much, much more. I mean, $60 per kilogram, that means you can really move, you just keep moving stuff up into the orbit and then Mars. That's the kind of growth that is not in the cards for natural evolution, for phenomena, for geology or biology. So I think that's what David Deutsch is talking about. This is not even a podcast. It's October 8, 2025. This is Krim Delco. For the year, we are up 16.8%. The market's up 14.8%. We're up by 2%. So the question again, do we have certain natural limits of growth? And our conjecture is that we always have them, but we're changing the scale. So we're always playing the same game, but just on different levels. Innovation, risk-taking, human nature, ego, jealousy, getting tired, lifespan. These things don't change, but what changes is our spirit, our innovation, that allows us to do things that we weren't able to do before. For example, in the prelude, I used the example of Starship. If you can bring down the cost of launch per kilogram from 6,000 to 60, that's 100x. That is going to drive the growth rate of the space economy, and therefore we have a lot more opportunity, for example, for telecommunication through Starlink and things along those lines. So that's just one example. I think AI, self-driving cars, if we change transportation costs from $2 per mile to 20 cents per mile, that is going to drive a lot more demand for transportation, and therefore also bring a lot more transportation to people. We will have a lot more flexibility where we live. Things can change, and that generates a lot more new jobs. So that's the thesis. We certainly, as investors, are invested in this thesis. On the flip side of that, you could say, look, there really isn't much of a growth rate to speak of, because if you look at gold and relative to gold, most S&P 500 and American companies, forget about European companies, they've actually underperformed because and that's true, but that's not because of lack of innovation, that's because of also an increased amount of corruption. So on the flip side of that, I would say what is risky here is not that we somehow run out of ideas. What's risky here is that the 80% of people that don't participate in this growth economy will ask for a bigger slice of the pie, or more of the pie than they're actually entitled to, and that could lead to corruption, and that's what the gold price is pricing now. So that is the risk. So the risk is really not our lack of innovation. I think we're on a trajectory of much, much faster growth of wealth creation. The risk is that the people who don't participate in this wealth creation will disagree and ask for a slice, and that's reflected in the gold price. So those are the risks. But in principle, from the perspective of the ability of humans to generate growth, we believe that we can defy natural growth rates. Thank you.